Well, honestly, this past week could have gone better. I think I got a little too safe with some of my picks when there were a couple of upsets this week or this past week. So, uh, you know, I'm happy with being 87-47 right now, but yikes, I wish I could take some of these picks back. Hey there, peeps, Detective Uwu here. This past week it was all right. I went 9-5. I think it definitely could have been a lot better than what it was. Um, Bringing my total up to an 87-47 record. Can I get to 500 this week? Or not 500. Yeah, I do not want to be 500. Um, can I get up to? Oh my god. Can I get to up to 100 wins? That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, if I can speak. Um, but yeah, if knowing me, I probably won't get there until like week 13. Yikes. Um, Going through some of these games though, it was a pretty interesting week, to say the least. Some of these were kind of like gimmies. The Thursday night football game was not even close. Um, the Bears, despite letting the Bengals and Joe Flacco put up 42 against them, still come out with the victory. The offense led the way that day. The Lions got upset on Sunday by the Vikings, who just got J.J. McCarthy back. So you're hoping as a Vikings fan, Hiddy, it's a sign of things to come in Minnesota, and that they aren't exactly out of the race yet, even despite being in last place somehow. The Chargers, don't let the score fool you. The Titans, they were controlling the Titans the entire way, and it was not relatively close in the slightest. And the Titans, oh god, that roster really needs to tune up in the offseason, and it's not even funny how bad they are. Um, the Falcons nearly came back against the Patriots, and of course, they can't do the damage New England did to them because they missed the extra point at the very end. So that's one very, very painful way to lose. The 49ers took care of business against New York. Yeah, it's the 49ers confused me this year. That's all I got to say about them. Um, the Colts got they committed 6 turnovers. That's all I need to say about that game. The Broncos, it wasn't the greatest of victories, but they still got the victory in the end. So they're sitting at the top of the AFC and probably are, records wise, one of the best teams in the league. Hello, Zero. The Packers got upset by the Panthers. Oh, God. Yeah. The Jaguars barely pull away against the Raiders. And yeah, it was certainly interesting to say the least. The Rams beat up the Saints, no issues there. I thought the Chiefs were going to be look a little better. This is probably the worst offensive performance of the year so far. But I mean, you usually lose the game in Buffalo, so I'm not exactly surprised by that. The Seahawks blew out the Commanders, and pray for the recovery of Jaden Daniels because God, that arm injury just did not look great on screen. And finally, the Cardinals upset the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. The Cowboys probably are done for the year after that, just because, yeah. And you know who else is done for the year? Probably Kyler Murray. But anyways, with that being said, moving into Week 10, we got 14 games this week. It's going to be a very interesting week after the past week, so let's get things started with our Thursday night game tonight. I was originally gonna do these picks this last night, but I got so caught up in talking to some friends and stuff, and just being flat out exhausted after the day, that I completely forgot to do it. So we're gonna do it tonight. We're gonna do it now, not tonight. um, but so yeah, starting things off on Thursday night. Ew, what is this game? um, you got the Las Vegas Raiders, the literally the 21st century version of the Black Plague, because God, they are awful. And taking on the Denver Broncos. Um, yeah, Vegas, just if you were watching that game, they somehow made it a very, very close game. Um, I don't know what you were doing in overtime though, going for two, but yeah, that was not a great way to end things off. Like go for the win and you end up losing instead. So typical Raider kind of fashion. Nothing new there. The Raiders though, the last game, I mean, Gino did have a better game than normal. 4 touchdowns on the day, 1 pick, 284 total passing yards, but he did throw that weird 2 point attempt pass on the end, which immediately got blocked. So any chance of the Raiders winning that game was completely ruined by Geno Smith, but also any chance of the Raiders winning that game was also really enhanced by Geno Smith. So, yeah, it was a very questionable day for the Raiders offense, especially since they've only got 57 total rushing yards on the day. Ashton Genty was not a big factor in the game, and yeah, it was all passing for the Raiders, and it ended up costing them in the end. So, nothing new if you're a Raiders fan. You just are just praying to God that this nightmare of a season will end. And hey, we're halfway through the season, so you're halfway there. You're living on a prayer. Please do not copyright me to YouTube. But anyways, next up we got the Broncos. It was not the prettiest win, but hey, some teams all you need to do is grind out those gritty wins, and sometimes these days the Broncos they have the 7-2 record, yes, but they haven't looked the greatest showing it. Like everyone's looking at that the what was it like week 5 or something like that, somewhere around there where the Broncos completely came back against the Giants. Like this team could easily be like 6-3, 5-4 right now, but hey, they're grinding out the wins that they need to. They aren't giving up on themselves. I think this is a pretty damn good football team. This is the team has won now 6 in a row. I think that offense is finally starting to really prove itself, even though it was a little bit sloppy last week. But it's the defense that's really rising up as well. Somehow that defense is getting a lot better over the course of the year, and you're just hoping that that keeps up, and maybe the offense will be a bit more consistent. I expect no trouble for the Broncos. I wish the Raiders win this game, and I really hope somehow they pull this off. But I got Denver winning this game in Mile High on Thursday Night Football. It's a short week for both teams. I think the Broncos could adjust to that a little better. And if you're the Raiders, you're just hoping this game is relatively watchable for you. If you're the Broncos, if you lose this game, I swear. Oh my God, if you lose this game. Anyways, next up we got the game in Berlin. Oh my God, we got more freaking international games. God damn it. You got the Atlanta Falcons sitting at 3-5, taking on the Indianapolis Colts sitting at 7-2. The Falcons. That is just the cruelest way to lose a game. Nearly coming back. After nearly coming back against the Patriots, they were down what? Like they were down. It was like 24 to 14 at the end of the game, but you missed the extra point at the with like 4 minutes left. That's just heartbreaking if you're a Falcons fan, but also typical if you're a Falcons fan. You're used to kind of that losing games like that, so nothing new there. The Colts, though, that was very unusual for them this game. I think Daniel Jones just reverted for one game back to his New York Giants form. 6 total turnovers for the Colts offense. Daniel Jones throwing 3 of them. And yeah, it was not a pretty day for the Colts offense. But yeah, they still lost by only 7 to the Steelers. So give them credit. They were still in this game despite the amount of times they turned over the ball. So it's going to be a very interesting rebound game for the Colts. I highly doubt the Colts throw that or lose the ball that many times again. Plus, I'm very uncertain about how Atlanta's going to be playing. I know they're the team at this point that's like, hey, you really don't know, are they good, are they bad? But at this point, I think we've kind of figured out the Falcons are just like middle of the road to kind of bad. Like, they can't really finish games. They get blown out by teams they shouldn't get blown out by. I got to go with the Colts here. It's in Indy. They got to get a rebound game, and I think they'll get it here this week. And yeah, maybe Jonathan Taylor will go off on the Falcons' rushing D this time because he was kind of slacking in the Pittsburgh game. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, at the same time too, Jones threw for 342 yards, so it's not like he had a terrible game. It's just turnovers, man. Limit the turnovers, which I think the Colts will easily do, and I think they got this one in the bag pretty easily. Next up, though, we got the New York. Ew, what is this? We got the New York Giants sitting at 7-2, starting off our noon slate, taking on the Chicago Bears, sitting at 5-3. The Giants, yeah, I think you're starting to miss a little bit of your key pieces now. It was not particularly the greatest game for you in the loss to San Francisco. Just looking at some of the stats, Dart did not have himself the greatest at games. He did play fine, but nothing too great. But yeah, it's just could not get your offense into scoring opportunities. 5 total punts compared to the Niners, 2, and it was just not the prettiest of day for the Giant offense. And on the defensive side of the ball, Mac Jones kind of ran you up a little bit, and so did Christian McCaffrey. That kind of dynamic threat just really blew any chance of New York winning this that football game. And now they got to go to Soldier Field to take on the Bears, who got back on track after losing to the Ravens 2 weeks ago. Last week they took on Cincinnati. They played them pretty. It was not the easiest of victories. Somehow Joe Flacco decided that day of all days would be the day he went for 470 yards, but he also threw 2 picks, so it kind of helped out in the end. It was just that also the Bears had a total of 576 total yards on offense. So that offense was really carrying the load that day, which is not typical for Bears football. Caleb Williams had himself a pretty good day, 280 yards. He did complete 20 of 34 passes and threw 3 touchdowns, no picks. The rushing game, it was Kyle Monagny. I do not know how to pronounce that name. I am so sorry. But it was him who carried the load on offense as well on the rushing game. And it was because of those two pretty much that the Bears were able to take down the Bengals somehow. And yeah, looking forward to this game. I mean, I think Dart's going to be a pretty big factor in this game as well for the Giants. I think he's going to be the reason that they stay in this game. And yeah, but I got to go with Chicago, though. I got to go with a little bit of a hotter hand. The Giants have not been able to really finish off games or make enough plays to give themselves opportunities to win games. So I got to go with Chicago here. It's a very, very weird thought that the Bears, of all teams, could be in first place after this week if everything goes according to the plans for the Bears. So, this could easily be a letdown spot for the Bears, but I just don't think the Giants have the capabilities to finish off games. So, we're going Chicago on this one. Next up, though, we got the Buffalo Bills sitting at 6-2, taking on the Miami Dolphins, sitting at 2-7. The Bills, that was a pretty damn good game, even though that hurts to say that a little bit. For the Bills in this game, it was the Bills' offensive day. I'll say at the very least. The Bills kind of pretty much outcoached Kansas City in every single way. I was watching the game. It was not pretty sitting there looking at the Chiefs struggle to get really anything going. Yes, the Bills didn't really get as much as they wanted to. They did, but they did enough, and that's what honestly was probably the best part for the Bills on that day. James Cook also had himself a pretty damn good day. Unfortunately, though, that's he has an ankle injury as well. So hopefully for the Bills, he'll be back for the Dolphins game this week. Even if he isn't, I don't think they're gonna have much of an issue with the Dolphins, just because looking at Miami at this point, it was not the best of games by them. On Thursday night, after picking up a massive victory over Atlanta, they shat the bed in their own house on prime time and let Lamar Jackson run all over them. It was just not the greatest of days for Miami. The funny thing is, they ran more plays and barely lost the time of possession, but it was the turnovers again. Two fumbles, one pick thrown by Tua, and yeah, it's just that offense just looks so depleted at this point. It's not even funny. Uh, but yes, the Dolphins just did not have a great game. They kind of look a little more lifeless. They're missing a lot of their key pieces, including Hill. And yeah, it's just not a great year to be a Dolphins fan. And I got to go with Buffalo in this game. They've really proven that they can battle some of the big boys. And this week should be a piece of cake for them. I know Miami played them tough in their first matchup in Buffalo earlier this year, but I think the Bills have improved quite a lot since then, and nothing about the Dolphins is going right for them. So I got to go with the Buffalo Bills here. It would be kind of funny if the Dolphins somehow pulled off the upset, but I highly doubt that happens. But who knows? Any given Sunday. Am I right? We got a battle of purple teams now. You got the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 3-5, taking on the Minnesota Vikings sitting at 4-4. The Ravens, hey, they were missing Lamar Jackson clearly because they put belt to ass on the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Jackson, 4 touchdown passes, and he had himself a pretty good day on the passing game. Rushing, maybe not so much. And Henry, hey, you didn't cough up the ball a whole lot. 119 total yards on 19 carries. 9 carries would be crazy. 19 though for him. So it was a pretty good day for Henry and Jackson on the way back. And that defense was really holding him down. The Dolphins offense, even though that wasn't really much of a task to begin with. But hey, you're back on track. So the Steelers starts looking weaker. The Bengals are gonna bangle themselves, and the Browns are just the Cleveland Browns. So the Ravens, you got a chance now to really come back into this divisional race with all of your key players starting to come back a little bit, and you better take advantage of it. As for the Vikings, whew, hey, you beat the freaking Lions on a good Sunday afternoon. J.J. McCarthy, he didn't have the best game of his life, but he did quite enough. 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. It was a very, very interesting day, to say the least, if you're a Vikings fan. You got the windows, so you're easily back in the playoff race, maybe even in the divisional race with the Packers and with the Packers losing as well. So, what does that mean for this game? Well, both of these teams are have their quarterbacks back. I think the Vikings are really trying to stay in the hunt for a playoff spot. The Ravens are trying to climb their way back into the playoff race. So it's going to be interesting. I think I got to go with the Ravens here. I think they're a bit too talented on paper. We still haven't really seen enough of JJ to really get a good glimpse of like how good he is. And so I kind of expect a bit of a letdown game for the Vikings. So give me the Ravens here. I would not be surprised if Minnesota somehow pulled this off either. And yeah, I gotta go with the Baltimore here. And this is just one step closer to getting back into the playoff race. With the Steelers falling apart a little bit. Next up, this game. You got the Cleveland Browns taking on the New York Jets, 2-6 and 1-7, respectively. Ugh. The Browns. It was quite interesting for them this past week. Well, They watched Joe Flacco during their bye week kind of light up the Bears offense, even though they somehow lost that game. So yeah, the Browns they needed that game. They needed this bye week maybe to get a little bit of something going. But their last game against the Patriots, that was not a great response to their blowout of the Dolphins. And yes, I know it's a thing at this point where the Browns are just going to brown themselves somehow. But that defense should at least be somewhat competitive. Ugh. They needed this bye week. Maybe at some point you'll start Shador. I don't know why he's still on the bench. Browns fans are wanting it quite a bit at this point, so we'll see how that rolls. For the Jets, though, with the trade deadline coming at them the past week, they decided to trade away pretty much everyone except Brees Hall away from New York. So, sorry, Brees, you're still stuck in Gotham. Have fun. But with that in mind, I think the Jets at this point are like trying to really tank for a high draft pick, and the Browns have at least a defense that'll be have a pretty damn easy task against that Jets offense. Now that they're lacking pieces, I gotta go with the Browns here. If the Jets somehow pull this off, maybe. I originally thought that this was gonna be the one probably game where the Jets have a chance of winning, but since they traded pretty much everyone at this point, I gotta go with Cleveland. Maybe if Gabriel somehow struggles in this game, we can see a little bit of Shador, but I don't know. Well, we'll figure things out for the Browns as they go. But I think they got the win in this one. If the Browns somehow fuck this up, then, well, typical, right? Next up, ooh, this is a really good game. You got the New England Patriots sitting at 7-2, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting at 6-2. Ooh, this is gonna be a good game. This is gonna be a great game. The Patriots, are just rolling right now. I thought they were gonna be pretty decent at the beginning of the year. I thought they were gonna end the season maybe like 7 or 8 wins. They're already at 7 wins in after week 9. Are you kidding me? The Patriots. It was not the prettiest of games, especially letting the Falcons come back a little bit, and they got a little bit lucky with them missing the extra point. But still, you gotta give credit to the Patriots where the credit is due, because my goodness, Drake May has really stepped up this year, and this past game definitely showed it. 259 total yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but he completed all but 10 of his 29 passes. So it was a really good day for him. He could easily be one of the dark horses to maybe win MVP, but I don't know. It's a very interesting topic at this point. But hey, Drake May's having himself a year, and I think New England's finally found themselves a really good quarterback. I swear to God, if this turns out to be a Mac Jones again, New England fans will fucking riot. But anyways, they're going to be playing in the Tom Brady Bowl because their opponent is his other team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe they had the bye last week. I don't remember them playing. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they did. Took the week to rest up. Yes, the Panthers won somehow, so it wasn't the greatest of bye weeks. They took care of business 2 weeks ago against the Saints, though, so they definitely were missing needed that bye. Unfortunately, it's still no Mike Evans as he's out for the year, so that is a key factor into this game. It's going to be an interesting one, though. The Tampa Bay has finally showed a little bit of flashes of a little bit of a weakness on their side. Now with Evans gone, finally looking a little human is Baker Mayfield. So we'll see how this game goes. It is in Tampa. I am very, very tempted to pick the Buccaneers to win this game, but something's telling me the Patriots are going to take this one. I think the defense is going to have an easier time without Evans having to deal with Evans on the Bucs offense, and the Patriots offense might light up the Tampa Bay defense a little bit. I expect this to be a pretty damn close game. I would not be surprised if the Bucs somehow won this game, but I gotta go with New England. I gotta go with the hot hand, and yeah, it's a very, very weird time seeing New England be this good. Up next, though, you got the New Orleans Saints sitting at 1-8, taking on the Carolina Panthers, sitting at 5-4. I don't think I killed that fly. Anyways, New Orleans. Ugh. Uh, yeah, nothing is working for New Orleans right now. Blowout fashion loss to the Rams. Um, yeah, Tyler Show is not helping out whatsoever. Completely dominated in every single fashion at this point. So, yeah, nothing went right for New Orleans in this game. They usually play worse on the road. And I expect that to continue in this game, with the Panthers coming off a massive victory over the Packers. That defense was really taking advantage of Love being a bit of an idiot a little bit at times with some of his throws. But yeah, it was the Panthers' day. Young didn't have a particularly great game, but it was Rico Dowdle that really, really helped the Panthers out in this game. He's also the one that gave them the first down at the end of the game to set up a game winner. And the Panthers shocked the Packers in Lambeau on a walk-off. So, that being said, are the Panthers actually legit a playoff contender this year? Who knows? They're sitting at 5-4. And I think they'll easily wipe the floor with the Saints, because the Saints are just that bad. The Panthers really now. Everyone was thinking it was going to be between Atlanta, like the Atlanta Falcons potentially catching the Buccaneers, but now everyone's saying it's the Panthers. So who knows? And if my picks go according to what they are shown on screen, the Panthers are going to be like a half game behind the Bucs, which is a very, very, very weird thought to think right about now. So, Panthers, I'm giving you the win in this game. Do not fuck this up. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Houston Texans. Jacksonville, yeah, Travis Hunter going on the. Well, outside of that, yeah, Travis Hunter being on the injured list still is hurting, and yeah. They allowed the Raiders to make it a very competitive game, even forcing it to overtime. And they kind of got lucky that Geno just did not know how to play in overtime. But still, it was the Jaguars' day. They're looking to really put a bit of belt to ass on someone this week, and they got a good chance to, with the Texans coming in. Well, not really coming in town. They're inviting them to the town. But still, the Texans. You lost C.J. Stroud to a concussion. That is not great. You don't know on his injury status. They're going to keep it safe. They're going to keep him out this week. You don't want to ruin your potential franchise QB. But yes, the Falcons, the Texans, just may have lost their only hope of really redeeming their season, turning their season around. So, with the Jaguars also coming into town, trying to look for a bounce back game after allowing the Raiders to really, really make it a game, I gotta go with Jacksonville in this game. It would be kind of surprising if Mills somehow led this team to a great victory over the Jaguars, but who knows? Sometimes you just gotta have a little bit of magic on your side. But for right now, I gotta go with Jacksonville. Yeah, I know they're missing Hunter still, but I don't think it should be that big of an issue, especially with the Jags defense trying to lock down the Texans offense that still has a very bad O-line. So I gotta go with Jacksonville here. Up next are our 305 games. We got one of them, and it's between the Arizona Cardinals sitting at 3-5, taking on the Seattle Seahawks at 6-2. The Cardinals. I don't think Kyler Murray's playing a snap for the Cardinals ever again. Jacoby Brissett led the Cardinals to a stunning 27-17 victory over the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. And the crazy thing was, Dallas has a really bad defense, but have a great offense. But it was the offense for Dallas that struggled this game. The Cardinals actually did somewhat relatively fine against the Cowboys defense. They didn't blow them out of the water, which I'm shocked. I thought they'd put up more points than that. But hey, I mean, when your defense has the time of their life and Dallas isn't really doing much on the offensive side of the ball for once in their lives, you'll get a victory like that. Um, it's a kind of a rare victory for a team to come out from AT&T Stadium this year with. So you'll take it any way you can. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, their opponent this week is someone who just also came off a very big primetime victory. And not only did they win, they blew their opponent the fuck out. Seattle. I'm gonna apologize to Seattle fans right now, for saying that you were gonna have a really bad season this year. I completely underestimated you. I completely underestimated Sam Darnold. Because yeah, the Seahawks look like the real deal. They're easily the biggest threat to the Rams for the division right now, and I think it's going to be only a matter of time before the Seahawks really turn it up another notch. And in this game at Lumen Field, I gotta go with Seattle in this game. The Seahawks just look that good somehow, and I gotta go with the hotter hand. I would not be surprised if this was a close game, because apparently Jacoby Brissett actually makes that Cardinals offense a little better somehow. Like I said, Murray's probably never going to play for the Cardinals ever again after this season. But still. But anyways, yeah, got the Seahawks here. If the Cardinals win this game, then you might want to start panicking a little bit if you're the Seahawks, and if you're the Cardinals, maybe you found an answer. Probably not a long-term answer, but an answer. Next up, we got I count them, 325 games. By 325, it's probably more 425 if you're on the Eastern Coast, but still. Starting things off, we got actually a pretty damn good game on this one. You got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams put belt to ass on the Saints. The Niners ran away with it against the Giants, even though the score doesn't really show that. So both of these teams, contenders in the NFC West. So this game's really going to determine who's going to be controlling their fate in the NFC West along with Seattle. The Niners did take the game earlier this season on Thursday Night Football. It was an upset victory at the time because we just did not think the Niners were going to be healthy enough to really battle the Rams in that game. I don't think the Rams get swept by the Niners this year is my thing. I think I'm going to go with LA in this game. I just do not see the Niners beating the Rams a second time. And the Rams in this game, I think the Rams are a better team on paper right now, especially with the Niners injured still. The fact that the Niners are injured and still 6-3 really shows how good the coaching is there. Yes, I know, Kyle Shanahan, a good coach. Ha ha ha. But still, but for the Rams, I think they take their revenge from San Francisco from a couple weeks ago, and I think they get the win here. It's going to be a pretty tight game. I expect it to come down to the wire, as typical NFC West games do, except for the Arizona Cardinals games. But I got to go with the Rams. It's going to be a very, very interesting week. Sunday. Yeah, I wish this would have been a lot better of a game. You got the Detroit Lions sitting at 5-3, taking on the Washington Commanders sitting at 3-6. The Lions, they need a bounce back game because that was not a good performance against the Vikings. You just really hope that the Lions get something working together again. Goff had himself a pretty decent game. 284 yards, 2 touchdown passes, completed 25 of 37 pass attempts. So it's not like he had a bad game. The problem, the rushing offense was nowhere to be found. Not only did they only combine for like 65 total rushing yards, they also turned the ball over once. So not a great day. The Montgomery led the rushing game with 3.6 yards per um, carry, so it was not a good game in total. So, with that being said, the Lions really need a bounce back game this week. And if you're Washington, oh my god. God, that injury did not look pretty to watch. Oh god. Is this going to be another RG3? I swear. They need to get out of that stadium ASAP because, yeah, and it's not even. Actually, it's not even that stadium. That injury, I think, probably could have easily been prevented. Ugh. But yes. It was not pretty at all for the Washington Commanders, and I think their season's just about over. You're missing Daniels now, that you are already struggling with him, and yes, it's just not a great time to be a Commanders fan. So I got to go with Detroit in this game. It's gonna be. I would be very shocked if Washington make this close. But Detroit really needs a bounce back game after that loss to the Vikings. So I gotta go with Detroit in this game. Uh, I'm very, very sorry, Washington fans. Y'all deserve better. Next up, though, we got the Sunday night game. I feel like we always get this matchup on Sunday nights every single year. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Pittsburgh. It was a much needed victory last week. I don't think it was the prettiest of wins because you still somehow let them within 7, despite forcing the 6 turnovers on them. But hey, you really needed a victory. It was going to be tough, but you did everything you could, and and the defense finally stepped up this past week. So good for the Steelers. As for the Chargers, Joe Alt's out again. Joe Alt's out again. Are you kidding me? The Chargers, it was a dominating victory over the Titans, despite it. Um, Actually, it wasn't even that dominating of a victory. Now I'm saying that, looking at the score sheet, they were tied at 17 going in. It was 20-17 going into the fourth quarter. It was not the prettiest of victories. Now I'm looking at it, but still, you took advantage of a weak Titans team when you could. You're 6-3. Um, Looking forward to this game. It's very tempting to pick Pittsburgh, little hotter hand, but something's telling me it's this team's. It's a battle between two teams that look like they're about to collapse. Um, I think I got to go with the home team in this game, though. I know the Terrible Towels are going to be very, very active in this game in LA, but I think I don't think the Steelers' defense is still that great. I think they had one really good game, and this could easily be a letdown spot for the Steelers. So I got to go with the Chargers in this one. It's going to be a very interesting Sunday night game, though. It's actually a pretty decent game. Finally, though, on Monday Night Football, this is probably the best game of the week. You got the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 6-2, taking on the Green Bay Packers sitting at 5-2-1. The Eagles, the much needed bye week after blowing out the Giants, and they're hoping at least get some of the key pieces back because now they're in the point of their season where it's going to be tough. This is a tough stretch of a season for Philadelphia. You got Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, LA, the Chargers in your next 4 of 5 games. So this is not going to be easy whatsoever for the Eagles. This is going to be a very interesting stretch. Plus, you got the Cowboys on your schedule, which is usually somehow closer than it should be. So they really need to rack up some victories to prove themselves. And yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting week. For the Packers, they desperately need a bounce back game because that was ugly for the offense in that game. And the rushing D got blown the doors off of by Rico Dowdle. So, yes, the Packers need this bounce back game desperately. They're still somehow in first place in the NFC North. They could easily be tied if they lost the game to Dallas, which I kind of in my head at this point consider a loss. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think this could be, um, well, it's going to depend on the play calling for both teams because the offenses really are questionable. It's the defenses that are going to really, really stand up. And I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I'm going to give it about. I'm going to give it about. No, that's a little. Yeah, actually, you know what? 37. Good enough. It's going to be a lower scoring game. Um, I would be surprised if this is a higher one. But still. I am going to go with Green Bay here. It's a very, very weird pick. And I think it could easily be a win for the Eagles. But my thing is, I don't know how much I trust Philly in that play calling. Maybe they got it together over the bye week, maybe, but I think the Packers really need this game a lot more. Especially with the Eagles now comfortably sitting at the top of the NFC East. I think the Packers really need to fight their way through this game. So, give me the gritty Packers, the Green Bay Packers in this game. The grittier team, probably at the end of the day. And if the Packers lose 2 in a row, they are in trouble. But anyways, I think that's all my predictions for this week. Made 14 of 14, even picked a tiebreaker. So, I think that should end things off. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I'm so sorry that like some games for some reason aren't working for streams right now. I'm gonna try and see if that gets fixed. I might try to stream something tomorrow night or on Saturday, whatever works best. Maybe we'll try VR chat again. Who knows? But if not, we are 14 away from 200. I'm gonna hope to get to 200 by the end of the year. I do have a cover planned. I'm still working to see when I can get like stuff done on that because I don't know if I want to get someone to commission the artwork for it or if I want to try making that myself. Who knows? But I'm gonna see if all of that works in the end. I think also, I did this last year as well, where I did like a little review in 2024 last year. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing this year. I'm thinking I'm gonna try do it again this year. I think that last year I did it a little bit like unannounced, kind of last minute. This time I'm gonna plan it out a little bit more. I'm gonna see like what I can talk about personally on the whole as a community, the part I'm in, and just a little bit things worldwide. So yes, keep an eye out for that at the end of the year. Probably gonna be released on the 31st as usual. But with that being said, I'll hopefully see you guys this weekend. And if not, it's going to be on Wednesday this time, next week. So see you later, peeps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all laters.